From wearing a tiara to staying out of politics, here are 14 rules princesses must follow. Number 14. No crossing at the knee. If you've always wanted to be a princess, you wouldn't think there would be rules on how to sit because supposedly you can do whatever you want. But there are. Specifically, a woman in the royal family cannot sit with her legs crossed at the knee. Apparently, it is immodest. It's not really that immodest now, but the British royals seem to think so. Princesses must sit with their legs and knees firmly together. Crossing at the ankle is permitted, however. Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, prefers to sit using a pose called the Duchess slant. This pose is created by keeping the knees and ankles together while slanting the legs to the side. Not only does it keep her posture modest, but it also makes her legs appear longer. The late Princess Diana preferred the same pose. Number 13. Tiara Protocol. How one wears a tiara has changed over the years. At one point, royals wore it pretty far forward on their head. Today, though, princesses prefer a style that pushes it further back. As with all things royal, it is a very exact style. The tiara should be worn at a 45-degree angle when viewed from the side. You have to wonder if someone holds a protractor to the side of the princess's head to make sure they got it right. Tiaras are worn to evening events and are an absolute must for a royal bride's wedding day. The bride's family is the one who provides the headpiece. However, after the marriage, the princess will be expected to only wear jewelry from the groom's family. This custom, though, is falling out of fashion. Number 12. Hold the cup just so. The British and tea go hand in hand. If rules exist for how to sit and how to wear a tiara, you can bet there are rules about how to hold a teacup. A princess must hold her teacup with their thumb and index finger on the top of the handle while the middle finger supports the bottom. They also have to sip from the same spot so the entire rim isn't covered in lipstick stains. How tacky is that? This rule applies to whatever is being drunk, not just tea. The cup must always be kept in the 3 o'clock position. If they're drinking from a coffee mug, then they must loop their index finger through the handle. What about keeping your pinky out? Royals don't do that. Even for them, that's a little too pretentious. Number 11. Cutlery Etiquette. In America, people normally hold their forks in their right hand with the tines or the prongs up and only hold the knife to cut. However, princesses are required to eat in the Continental style. This is done by holding the fork in the left hand with tines down. The knife is held in the right hand. It's not enough to switch hands either. Both utensils must be pinched between the thumb and middle finger. The index finger is extended on the top of the utensil as support. A model who posed for a magazine's etiquette guide commented that this style of eating was very difficult to master. Also, while Americans typically put their utensils down when they aren't eating, princesses are only allowed to set their cutlery aside if they need to take a drink of water or use the restroom. When they do set down their knife and fork, princesses must cross their silverware on the plate. This is to indicate to the staff that they haven't finished eating. But wait, there's more! Princesses have a very specific way of eating. You'll never see a royal spearing their food. Instead, they balance their cut food on top of the tines of the fork. It's a tricky style of eating that only a royal would bother mastering. Or maybe if you're just really high society. And now for number 10, but first be sure to subscribe and click on the bell to get notified of the latest videos. Number 10. No shellfish. This next rule has more to do with safety than etiquette, and it applies to the entire royal family, not just the princesses. It is an ancient tradition that royals do not eat shellfish. No shrimp, no oysters, no lobster. Why? To avoid food poisoning. At one time, it was harder to keep foods fresh, and shellfish is very susceptible to spoiling. Never mind the toxins that can end up in shellfish. Queen Elizabeth II adheres to this rule, but the rest of the royals have been known to bend it from time to time. Princesses are also warned about other dangerous foods that could make them ill. It's important that they stay healthy so they can keep up with their demanding schedules. And of course, they are supposed to stay healthy so they can have children and carry on the royal line. Number 9. No politics. You would think that a family tied up in how an entire country runs would be neck-deep in politics. In Britain, this isn't the case. Members of the royal family are legally allowed to vote. However, they don't because they feel that it would be unconstitutional. In Britain, the Constitution is not an easily referred to document like Americans have, but is a series of declarations and documents made over the years that can be interpreted any number of ways. The royals choose to play it safe by staying away from the voting booth. Besides, it keeps them neutral and therefore able to represent all of the people. Princesses and other members of the royal family are also not allowed to hold public office. While there is no law or official rule, it might as well be for how seriously they take it. Number 8. Languages. Princesses travel a lot, as well as rub elbows with diplomats and heads of state from all over the world. Therefore, it's not surprising that knowing a lot of languages is a must. Every princess needs to learn as many languages as possible, even if it's only to be able to greet a visiting dignitary in their own tongue. Princess Charlotte, in fact, has already started learning Spanish. The late Princess Diana spoke Welsh and Sign Language. The most common second language among the British princesses is French, with German coming in at a close second. However, it's more than certain that they all know a smattering of many other languages. Number 7. Party timing. We all know timing is everything. This is especially true for a princess. There is protocol for the order in which royals may enter a party or event. A blood princess is one who is a member of the royal family by blood. That is, she's a direct descendant. If the spouse of a princess is of royal blood, then she is considered of the blood. Therefore, when she can enter a party or event is dependent on her husband's pedigree. If there is a procession, the order the royal family enters currently goes like this: Queen Elizabeth, her husband Prince Philip, the Prince Charles and Camilla, then Prince William and Kate. No doubt Prince Harry comes in right after them. The line of succession, with the exception of Prince Philip, determines the order of the procession. Philip can never ascend to the throne, but he can follow behind Queen Elizabeth because he's her consort. The rules regarding processions and entrances is very strict, and very rarely are exceptions made. Number 6. No nicknames. Princesses are not allowed to have nicknames. Seriously. They must use their official name and title in their public life. What the public calls them is another matter entirely, of course. For example, we all know Kate Middleton as Princess Kate. However, her official royal title is Her Royal Highness the Princess William of Wales. Her other title is Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Cambridge, Countess of Strathern, and Lady Carrickfergus. When being addressed in conversation, she can be referred to as simply Your Highness or Ma'am. The Queen's full title is Her Majesty Elizabeth II by the grace of God of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and of her other realms and territories Queen, Head of the Commonwealth, Defender of the Faith. In conversation, she's to be referred to as Your Majesty or Ma'am. Never call her Lizzie. Number 5. Charity. Princesses are not allowed to sit around all day and go on shopping trips. They do have jobs. Outside of her usual appearances and ceremonies, each British princess must find a charitable cause to support. This involves organizing charity events, making public speeches, and donating money. They can even create charities of their own, of course. For example, Princess Kate is involved in numerous charitable causes. She's a patron of the Art Room, which provides art therapy to children with emotional problems. She also donates money to East Anglia Children's Hospices and Action on Addiction. However, the charity she's most passionate about is Place to Be, which offers mental health support to children. Number 4. Give up Monopoly. This is a weird quirk that probably has more to say about the British royal family than it does about how princesses should behave. In 2008, Prince Andrew, Duke of York, forbade the royal family from ever playing Monopoly. Apparently, the last game was too vicious. Who knew they were all cutthroat competitors? Number 3. Follow the Queen. It might be a good idea to have a snack before dinner if you're a princess. Doing as the Queen does is a sign of paying full attention and respect to Her Majesty. Therefore, when the Queen stops eating, other diners must stop eating too. This rule applies to everyone who sits down to a meal with the Queen, from Prince Philip to mere commoners. Hopefully they're letting the little Princess Charlotte slide on this rule. What if the Queen isn't hungry? What is everyone supposed to do? Number 2. No touching. This general guideline applies to people who get to meet a princess, or really any member of the British royal family. If you get to meet a royal, you cannot touch them, or at least you're not supposed to. If you're posing for a picture, you certainly shouldn't drape your arm around them like basketball player LeBron James did with Princess Kate. While the royal palace did confirm that James did not break any protocol, he certainly went against the usual etiquette. It was a little too familiar. Judging from Kate's reaction in the photo, while she wasn't expecting the touch, she played along out of good manners. Not making a scene is another must for a princess. Number 1. Must spend Christmas with the royal family. Christmas is a time to spend with friends and loved ones. For people with large families, especially spouses whose families may live on opposite sides of the country or the world, where to spend Christmas can be a heated topic. Well, if you're a princess of the British royal family, the decision has already been made for you. All princesses are required to spend Christmas with the royal family. Surprisingly, this rule has been broken on occasion. Princess Kate likes to spend Christmas with her parents and siblings, bringing along her 2 children for the fun. According to palace insiders, the queen was not happy with Kate's decision, but Her Majesty seems to have reconciled herself to her daughter-in-law's choices. Who knew that Kate was such a rebel? Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!